Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. You're gonna want to watch this one through to the end today, and hopefully you can learn from my mistake. It's not what you think it is. So I got this old Kenmore dryer that I bought off of Kijiji as a set about a year ago. The washing machine ended up being no good. I had to replace it. And now the dryer is having some difficulty. So what's happening here is that when I put it on any kind of a dry mode, like with heat, it'll run for about 15 minutes and then it pops the breaker down in the fuse panel. 60 amp breaker, it pops it. If I turn it to just an air fluff or air only, it'll run forever, no problems. So that tells me that it's not the motor, it's not like the plug or a loose wire. Just because of the fact that I have to put it on to some kind of a drying mode, whether it's more or less dry, that uses the heating element and the heating circuit, and that's when the fuse pops or the breaker pops. So I'm pretty confident that this is likely related to the element. It probably is the element, but it's probably the kind of thing where maybe once the element heats up and gets hot enough that it expands and something shorts out, or something else within the heating element system, and it could be a temperature sensor or a thermostat that is not shutting off at the right time, and this thing just ends up drawing too much power and pops the breaker. So I ordered this kit off of Amazon, and it's supposed to be for my Kenmore or the Inglis or Maytag washers. It's basically if your lint catcher is in the upper right hand corner on the top of the dryer, this is probably the right kit. I couldn't find one specific to my model, so let's see what we got here. Gorgeous sunny day today up in the French River. So I'm looking at this here. Obviously this is the element, I can see that. These other things, I have no idea what they are. This to me looks like it's probably a temperature sensor, and these would be some kind of thermal relays, and then a little piece of cable and no instructions. So I guess I'm just going to start taking stuff apart until I can find pieces that look like that, and we'll just replace them. But wait, there's part numbers on all those bags, and we can Google that. 3392519, that is Whirlpool dryer thermal fuse. All right, next one, 3977393, new upgraded dryer thermal cutoff fuse. Dryer thermal cutoff fuse. Don't know what that means to me, but next one, 3387 dryer cycling thermostat. And last but not least, we've got 767 Whirlpool dryer high limit thermostat. Okay, so that still means nothing to me. I'm still going to take the dryer apart, and I'm going to find things that look identical to that, and I'm going to replace them. So for 50 bucks, that's a pretty good deal. I thought I get this element here and these 4 other parts. So I'm thinking between all of this stuff, if I replace it, pretty sure that's going to have to solve my heating problem with the dryer. My understanding is that with these dryers that have the lint catcher up here, that is the right repair kit, and that these parts are accessible from the rear of the dryer. So I'm gonna slide this thing around. Oh my goodness. I don't have enough room to actually pull it out unless I get rid of the washer, so hopefully I can just turn it around and work on it that way. Take off that vent hose, make sure it's unplugged. This is where I need a stunt double. Ow! just gonna pop off this back cover. Well, it's kind of clean in here. There is some stuff, leaves and some mouse activity, but this was in the other people's garage, so no real surprise to me. There's a little bit of stuff in there, so we'll clean that out. Okay, so what I'm seeing when I look in here is I'm pretty sure the element's going to be inside of this, so we'll have to take that off, but the other four thermostatic things I'm seeing look like there's one here, the one thermostat there, the cutoff relay or whatever it was, and this thing with boobob jigger. So this looks like it might be relatively simple. So I'm going to pop this off first and see if I can get at the element, and we'll go from there. All right, so this down here has got, let's see, 1, 2 screws. Oh yeah, I can feel the element in there. It's always good before you start. I like to take a picture of this with my camera so that I have it, and if I got to take stuff apart, I know how it goes back together. Okay, so this piece here, this is the actual element. It's not inside there. This is the element. This on the side is the high temperature thermostat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the new high temperature thermostat onto the new element, and then we'll come back, we'll disconnect the wires, pull this off, put the new one on, reconnect the wires. Okay, so I got my new element and my new high temperature thermostat. Let's take this out of the bag. And so what's going to happen here, this just sort of pokes into this retainer, but this has to go over top of that there. Okay, so nothing to actually fasten here. We just got to get this little prong to go through this hole at the same time as we are putting this connector over top of that terminal. So I think I can let's get that on there. It's a little bit difficult to do. I want to be really careful. It's just a little bit too snug. I'm just going to see if I can maybe just give it a little tap. There, I think that's plenty good enough. Okay, so here we got our big red wire. A little snug. That one was okay. That one was okay. So we got orange on the bottom, the white connector on the top, and then this big red guy here. There we go. Okay, and then we got two metal screws in here. Uh-oh. I'll drop that. One more on the other side. And I would say they look like they are identical pieces. Now, I suppose we could get our own meter out and test continuity, but because this is an intermittent issue, I wouldn't expect to see a break in continuity until after it's been running for 15 minutes. So I don't think that's going to do us any good. Chuck that guy. Oh, look at that. The holes even line up. Oh, that's different. Okay, so I understand, I think, what's going on there. I'm just gonna pinch it closed just a wee bit. so it grips tighter. Oops. Not too much. Oh, perfect. Perfect. This one here. It's a bit loose. There again, I'll just give it a little bit of a pinch, make sure it's tight. Perfect. Okay, now we got a few other components to replace. And so these here both have blue wires, so I don't think it really matters, you know, if you were to switch them up, but we'll try to make sure we get the straight one on top, the one with the bend goes at the bottom. Let's see, we can, there we go. Wiggle that off nice and easily. Just set that there for a second. I think I'll do the one at the bottom. So that one there, we have got big red at the bottom, two purples, red with a white tracer, and then a red at the top, dusty. So let's see there, we'll get that guy off. We'll just kind of try to leave them in that position. Snug. Okay, so we had big red at the bottom. These two little purple guys. And other red at the top. There, it fits nice. Perfect. Then we just have this other one at the top. It's got red with a white tracer wire at the top, flat red at the bottom. And this one seems like it does matter which way it goes on because they put a little thing on there. And the new one's got the same little thing. There. Holy smokes, that's everything. Okay, the next step, I wouldn't recommend doing it at home. I'm gonna plug it in and just try it quickly with the cover off and the wires exposed. I wouldn't recommend that you guys do this, but I've been bitten, stung by wires, electrocuted more times than I can shake a stick at. So I'm just gonna carefully just do this quick little smoke test and make sure that it works before I put it all back together and spin it around. Step one, plugged it in. We didn't see any sparks. That's good. All right, now put it on just 20-minute high heat. So far, so good. Oh yeah, got some heat now. Okay, so I'm gonna put the covers back on, spin this thing back into place, and then I got some laundry to dry. Well, the dryer ran for 10 minutes and popped the breaker again. So my understanding is that all of those parts, those thermostats and relays, and along with the element, there was like, 5 items replaced. That is the entire heating circuit of the dryer. The dryer runs fine when it's just on cold air. It's just when it gets into that heating circuit after about 10 minutes, pops the breaker. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run the dryer in heating mode again, reset the breaker, and I'm just going to feel this breaker and listen to it to see if it gets warm or hot, and also see if I can listen to it to see if there's any humming coming from the breaker. So my next thought is maybe the breaker's just bad. Okay, dryer's been running for about 30 seconds. Don't feel anything at this point in time. I've got just a simple automotive stethoscope here that I'm going to use to see if I can detect any humming in the breaker. Hello. Can hear a little sizzling there. A little bit of a noise. I didn't hear that noise when I was running the dryer on just cold air. Don't hear it on these breakers. Definitely hear something there. Can't feel anything just yet. I can smell, there it goes. That was about maybe barely 5 minutes. Obviously no sound now. Little bit of warmth to it, not a lot. I just reset the breaker, went up, put the dryer on air fluff mode. I do not hear that sizzling noise that I heard before. So I think my next step is going to be to replace this breaker. Check the connections both here and back at the dryer receptacle. But I just put that receptacle in last year, so I'm pretty sure I did it good, but I'll check that anyways. I guess I better do this until I can get that breaker ordered and installed. Okay, so I think I'm just going to pull this snug, sort of, or at least get it as snug as I can. I should likely loosen this off as much as I can. Other way. Get it in there. Right there. Oopsie. Hammer, and you just pound down in the middle, I think. Okay. hopefully that's going to hold her. Make sure we don't have any twists in her. Probably this is going to be where the swearing starts. Oh, maybe I made it too loose. Crap. Uh-oh. Huh. Well, we can pull it in another 2 inches according to this. Turnbuckle should be on the top. Perfect. That'll do until we get the dryer fixed. Don't know about you guys, but I'm fairly happy with this. Hey, how are you doing? Welcome back to this part 2 of trying to figure out what the heck is wrong with my dryer. So if you remember a little while ago, I took the whole dryer apart, and this is like an older Kenmore dryer, replaced all of the pieces that have to do with the heating circuitry. So there was elements, or there was an element, there was various temperature sensors, thermostats, all that kind of thing. There's about, I think, 5 different items that I purchased through Amazon. They all came together as a kit. It was 49 bucks. Replaced it all. I was hoping that was going to solve my problem where my dryer is flipping this breaker, but it didn't. It didn't. So my dryer can run all day long as I do air fluff. As soon as I put it in any kind of a heat mode, within, I would say, less than 15 minutes, it's flipping the breaker. So my next little piece of troubleshooting is going to be to replace this breaker. I got a brand new one here, so I'm going to take this one out of the box and put this one in, and hopefully that's going to solve my problem. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is going to turn my main breaker off. That looks like everything is dark and quiet. I'm just going to get my handy dandy tester out here, just make sure I got nothing across any of these terminals. I mean, it should be dead, but stranger things have happened. There we go, that looks good. These 2 thicker wires here, I'm guessing they're probably 10 gauge for the dryer, and then outside are a couple of 15 amps for something else. Not sure what they are, but of course they're stripped. Thank you. The old slot screwdriver out. Wasn't even tight. Why didn't I check that before? I don't know. Some of these breakers, they have got the cheapest nuts on them. They get rounded at the slightest little bit of twisting, and heck, shouldn't that be a safety concern? I would think so. Maybe that could have been my problem. That one was loose, maybe. That was my problem. Who knows? But just kind of pivot it down, kind of using one of the top breakers to pry on, which is maybe not the best idea, but pull him out, set it aside so I don't mix it up. I'll take this guy.
snap into place. It's pretty simple, really. Yeah, like when it's not, real easy to tighten these things up. Like, of course people are not gonna get them tightened properly or twist the nuts round on them or something. Oops, wrong one. Just kind of snug it with my red Robbie and then tighten it up with a flat slug screwdriver. All right, let's get this guy in here. Red Robbie to the rescue. You know what? Looking at this thing here, this might be hard to see, but this feels melted on the end. I'll bet you it's because that thing was loose. Bet you that's what it was. Bet you it was just causing some resistance, arcing in there. My Lord. And that's getting snug. Feels snug. Okay. I think we can turn on the power. There we go. Well, you know what I'm doing now, don't you? Just making sure these are all tight. There's another one half loose. Jeez. Okay, got my dryer in hot mode, and now I'm just going to have a listen here. And you don't want to touch the wrong thing. I should have the cover on, but I just want to have a listen. I don't hear anything. Last time I could hear like sizzling and crackling. I don't hear nothing yet. So it's 20 after 7. Like I said, I couldn't get barely 15 minutes out of it, so I'm gonna let that dryer go for a while. I'll come back down, put the stethoscope on it, maybe just sort of feel that with my finger a little bit, being careful not to touch any of the wires, see if it's warm. Have another listen with the stethoscope, but hopefully I solved my problem. Found the problem. This nut in here is stripped. So this second one from the left-hand side is completely stripped. So I got a little piece of wire here. Just stick that in there. Get my screwdriver in here. I can just keep on turning and turning and turning and turning and turning. Nothing happens. It's totally stripped. This is totally loose. The only thing that was keeping the wire in there was the pressure, like how the wire gets bent up in the panel and the pressure is just kind of pushing it up. That's the only thing that kept it in there. So I'm pretty positive that's what the problem was. Some meathead got on that thing and just cranked her too tight and then just walked away from it and left it. It's a wonder his family or myself didn't die in a fire. Thankfully, that breaker flipped off when it got too hot, just like it's supposed to. And some of you may say, well, wasn't there a hydro inspection? Sure, there was, but the inspectors don't go around and check if everything's tight. They just have a visual look at it, and if everything looks right, it's good. So, gonna wait a few more minutes, make sure that dryer finishes its cycle, and then I'll be convinced this is fixed. This thing's been running for half an hour. My clothes are almost dry. I'm gonna run it a wee bit more. I got no heat at the panel, no noise at the panel. Okay, so I can tell you right now, I am gonna sleep way better tonight. So it started out as a dryer problem, because why wouldn't you suspect a 15-year-old dryer of having an element issue or a thermostat issue or something like that? So replaced all those parts, and that wasn't that big of a deal. It cost me $50 in my time, and I could have saved that money if I maybe troubleshooted things properly, but I got new element, I got new thermostats and all that kind of stuff, so that's cool. But what the real problem was, and it wasn't that the breaker was faulty. First I was thinking, oh, that breaker must be faulty, because I could put my stethoscope on it and I could hear the humming and I could feel the heat on it. So I thought there was something malfunctioning or defective with that breaker, but nope, I think the breaker was fine. The problem is that I'm not going to get into name calling, but somebody just reefed that nut so tight it stripped it. I'm a little disappointed that manufacturers of breakers don't put higher quality nuts in the breakers. They're usually always a soft metal. They usually strip easy, so that's a little bit disappointing. But I mean, you got to be careful with those kinds of things, and that's at the end of the day what the problem was, is that nut was stripped, that wire was loose, and those people who lived here before me, along with myself, lucky there wasn't a fire here. So thanks for coming along, guys. I hope you liked this episode. I hope you learned something. I see a lot of stuff on Google about, hey, why does my dryer shut off after so many minutes on heat mode? Hopefully this helped you out. And if you like watching these videos, click that like and subscribe button down there, and we'll see you in the next episode up here at Canadian Island Life, getting into some kind of trouble.